Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 13 of the anime series Ushio to Tora, and I loved this episode, picking up where we left off. And one of my speculations was that Ushio running into this old man, maybe there was something to do with him and the yokai. And while I did have that suspicion, even when this old man brings him to this little, shop, and he's having the sort of cream bread snack, whatever it is, and he tries to offer it to the old man as well, and a little, bottle of milk, I still had a sneaking suspicion something more was going on, especially as soon as he's going to leave, they're attacked by all these yokai who have been raining down and chasing him since the previous episode. And I love that you still have the loyalty of the Kamaitachi on display in this episode. I love that they're still sticking around, and very much do we see Omamori in this episode split off from Seiya and becoming very much, in a sort of essence, along the lines of my speculations, they're becoming Ushio's allies, or at least they do believe in his cause, the cause that, could lead to a grander sort of bridging of the gap between the yokai as a culture, as a species, and humanity. And, that's all to do with sort of hinging on Hakumen no Mono. Now, you still have, like Tora, he's very much not sure what he's doing. He's spending some time, sort of like the first half of this episode, mulling over the verbal jousting that was going on back and forth between him and Hitotsuki. And he's still calling him Nagatobi Maru, he's still getting that jibe in, his name of old and everything. And I really love that, at least for the Kamaitachi sister, she's very much of the belief that Tora will come and help as they're fighting and they're having to deal with all these yokai, and they're very much overwhelmed, even with the beast spear, even with Ushio maxed out, and the help of these two Kamaitachi siblings. They are very much outnumbered, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good for them. And sure enough, to her words, Tora does show up at a very sort of, integral point in that fight, unleashing all that lightning ability that he has on Hitotsuki, specifically, just to ground him and just to get out of there. He's like, look, if you're mad that I intervened, come chase me down, we'll have a fight, we'll duke it out one-on-one, everything like that. Let's make this a fair fight. And of course, once they are grounded again, Ushio is spirited away, so to speak, by this surrounding fog, which calls back to seeing Omamori, walking into this fog moments earlier, or like just before the actual fight took place. And I was very curious what was going on with that, where this was all going. And of course, Ushio is being led through this mansion by a sort of disembodied voice, a voice of an old man. And I was like, I wonder if this may relate to the old guy whose life he seemed to save and gave, the cream bread snack and everything. And I was still suspicious of that being the case, but I wasn't sure, because of course he's finally ushered into this room where he meets Omamori and apparently the leader of the mountain yokai, the entire culture. This is their figurehead, their leader, and Omamori has impressed upon him the importance of actually having a ground level discussion with Ushio, that he's not just out to take yokai lives blindly, he's not just trying to kill monsters blindly. He's very much been in defense of himself. They're all gunning for him because they can't get to his mother. We hear that story once again unfolded, but more detail about the mother's side of it. For those of us who were left with lingering questions, like, is his mother like hundreds of years old or thousands of years old? Well, no, it's actually passed down. It's kind of like the Phantom in, the comic character, where it's passed down generation by generation. And this is, I think they said, the second generation in Ushio's mother's family, that she represents the modern incarnation of the protector, if you will. And I do very much call into question, is it just maybe the yokai are misunderstanding? And that would be a pretty big leap for them to misunderstand the difference necessarily between protecting Hakumen no Mono and keeping him encapsulated so that he can't come back. The yokai may be gunning for Hakumen no Mono to destroy him once and for all, because he would have them all destroyed himself. but maybe in doing so, they're kind of confused about the point of that barrier. Maybe that barrier is to keep him contained so he will not spill out and try to, destroy all and wreak havoc. But of course, it doesn't matter. They can't get in and, ask Ushio's mother what's going on. They would rather have him do it, and that's very much what the impetus behind this meeting is, to get into Ushio's brain, let him know what's going on with the scenario, and hey, since you seem to be an honorable cat and you're not just killing us blindly, would you be willing? We'll back off. Would you be willing to go in and try to find out what the hell your mother's doing? And, they seem to, at least this old man, leader of the mountain yokai, seems to be of the impression that Ushio's journey is a grander one. The fact that he is building these allies seems to be for a greater cause than just defeating monsters, and that's because of his own personality, because of his own compassion. That's really not even his own focus. As he's becoming used to the beast spear and wielding it in defense and saving lives, that's all he's been doing. He's been very heroic. And the dynamic between he and Tora, as this episode rounds out with, of course, Hitotsuki and Tora challenging each other. They're gunning for Ushio because they can't get to the mother, as Tora taunts him and everything. The leader of the yokai decides, okay, well, we'll have a one-on-one here. We'll let them fight it out. Let them fight. And Godzilla reference. But what I found very interesting was Tora is uber powerful. We've known that, we've seen that, but I mean, he wipes the floor with this guy, even after being contained for like 500 years by the beast spear. And he's been changed by not only that experience, but the experience of this journey thus far with Ushio. He's been molded by the compassion, the loyalty, the honorability of a human being, the wielder of the beast spear. And he can't deny it anymore. And I feel like, even though there will probably still be adversarial, joking jabs between Ushio and Tora respectively, with Tora telling Hitotsuki, stop calling me Nagatobi Maru, it's Tora. This was the name Ushio gave him. And I feel like it is a thorough acknowledgement. I was goosebumps when he said that, because suddenly we see that Tora has become, simpatico with Ushio and his cause. He understands there's something bigger going on. He's probably still going to get in the adversarial jabs. They're probably still going to name call each other. And he's going to threaten to eat him eventually and everything like that. But I mean, they are now truly matched as far as being a team. The heroic cause for good in this framework, with, maybe taking down Hakame no Mono, or assuring he is taken down once and for all, being the outcome, and just his acknowledgement, his acceptance of his name being Tora. This is a new era. I'm a new person. This is my name now. And who gave him that name? It just gave me goosebumps. Like, to see these two unified finally with that moment of him acknowledging that as his name. And then, of course, he hands Hitotsuki his ass and burns the hell out of him, fire breathes on him, electrifies him, all this kind of stuff, all the snakes and everything. I thought that whole sequence was actually pretty cool looking. And I love that we see the true form of the old man in the end. Like, he kind of looks semi-human, but he's got the huge Pinocchio nose or whatever. And like, we see him with the red skin and all decked out and everything. And then, of course, he kind of transforms back to the more humanoid form. And he's wishing Ushio well on his journey, because now it's that leg that we've been waiting for the last couple episodes. And, the idea of actually finally confronting his mother. And now he's even got the entirety of this mountainous yokai community backing him in a sense. Or at least, the leader has called off the dogs, so to speak, because he saw that what Omamori was telling him was true. Ushio's honorable. He's not out to just kill us blindly. He's not out to murder us, commit genocide. It's all about attaining a level of peace. And maybe in the aftermath of whatever's coming, because we know something big, they're building up to something big, but in the aftermath of that, whoever survives is probably going to live in a better world, where yokai, creatures, monsters, you know, can coexist. It's very interesting how there's that commentary, sort of the religious beliefs, angle, the commentary on theology and everything, where I've talked about in a previous episode. In fact, it was the first Kamitachi episode where the brother sort of sacrifices his life because he feels like he's misplaced from this world. He wanted to gun after humanity who had displaced them from their homes so many times, and he just felt like, is there a place anymore in this world for us? And yet again, in this episode, do we have somebody's dialogue, I forget who it is, questioning, isn't sort of believing in ghosts and yokai and monsters and spirits, isn't that kind of for the past? I mean, it doesn't make sense nowadays. It doesn't make sense anymore to us. And I like how this series puts it that, well, it may not fit into the modern theology, the modern concept of what life is in this day and age, but they're still out there, and we need to recognize, if not, literally within the series, that there is a spirituality surrounding us. We have to recognize our history. We have to recognize our beliefs and where we have come on this journey to land ourselves here. And I love that. I love all that multi-tiered commentary going on amidst just a raucous, actiony, spiritual, super powery, supernatural story, where Ushio's trying to find his place in the world, and he's trying to now find his mother to make sense of what has been going on. And I loved this episode. And of course, we see for the tag of the teaser for next episode, Hyo's going to be back, and he's a badass, so I'm like welcoming the hell out of that. And just another in what I hope to be a line of Ushio building allies to this cause. And, if like the last couple of episodes when we finally get around to them aren't involving just this whole conglomerate of the Kamitachis, Hyo, Omamori, Saya, all these people that he's getting on the good side of, backing him in maybe confronting Hakame no Mono or whatever it's going to be. If we don't get that, I will be largely surprised and disappointed at that point. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen episode 13 of Ushio to Tora, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you were, as sort of on the edge of your seat, gritting your teeth with the action that was unfolding, did it unfold predictable to you? Or, did you see things coming, like with the old man actually being the leader of the yokai and just in human sort of form, like I sort of had sneaking suspicion was going to be the case and proved to be true, but I was still pleasantly surprised, I might add, by how they revealed it. I was like, all right, that's cool. I like that. Because at that point, when they finally do reveal that aspect of it, that the old man was this old leader of the yokai of the mountain region and everything, at that point, I had given up on that potentially being the case. And then when they finally revealed it, I was like, oh, I was right. All right, cool. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you if you enjoyed this episode. If not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Love having the conversation with you guys. We can agree to disagree. And it's just about the conversation, sharing a, dialogue about series like this that are really awesome to watch and fun to watch. And so yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.